Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast, where we unlock the power within and navigate the journey of your self-discovery together. I'm Shaz, your spiritual mentor and life coach, here to help you tap into your inner guidance system and manifest your best life. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or looking to deepen your practice, this podcast offers insights, techniques, and inspiration to elevate your consciousness and transform your reality. Get ready to shine your light and embrace your true potential. Remember, the answers are inside you. Let me be your guide on earth.
Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Spiritual Awakening podcast with Shaz. I'm your host, Shaz. Today, I want to delve into something a little bit different, and I'm going to walk you through the chakra system as part of a definition of understanding the spiritual awakening journey and how many of us awaken in our 30s and 40s. And so many out there consider that they're going through a midlife crisis. For me, it's just an existential awakening period where we're stepping into the chakras that activate our voice and our third eye, and it's the way we speak and see the world. And it is not something that you actually come to understand until those times. I know that when you're going through it, and if you are in the middle of this phase in that, say, 28 to 50-year-old range, where your chakras are fully coming up to the top level chakras, and you're awakening to so much more around you, where you see more, you hear more, you feel more, you sense more, and your voice steps up and you have the ability to say no, and you find your true identities, you will want to make massive changes. It can be so hard because you question everything and you wonder, what is life all about, and have I wasted it to date? And I want to tell you that no, you haven't. It is perfectly exactly where you need to be, and it's the only way you could get here, but this awakening process has to happen at some time. For many, it can happen in childhood and we wake up and we stay awake the whole way, or you can go through it at different ages depending on what's going on. But these chakras can define exactly where we are, what we're doing, and why it wants to come into that. So firstly, our base chakra activates between 0 and 7. And our base chakra is about safety and security. It's where we're nurtured as children and brought up in that safety security of our parents. It's where somebody else takes care of us. Usually between 0 and 7, there is very little taking care of yourself. Somebody is there to do all of that, to feed us, bathe us, change our clothes, do everything for us. That's the early start of childhood, and that's where we sit in our base chakra. It is in those informative years that our safety and security is centralized in our unconscious mind, and it shows us what we can expect later on in life. Hopefully, you're one of those people that had a beautiful childhood and you have this wonderful sense of safety and security. I wasn't one of those people. So my sense of safety and security was so imbalanced. I had to do a lot of work on my ground chakra to clear it and to shift through the traumas from that time. Next, we get to our sacral chakra, which is about 7 to 14. This is our creative center, and it's our nurturing phase, and it's where we step into nurturing and understanding ourselves. And for women especially, it's any time between that 7 and 14-year age group that most of us start to get into our menstrual period, which is where the sacral chakra is located. And that changes the way we define who we are as and our bodies change with our hormones into womanhood. Around that 10 to 14-year-old, we start to get boobs and hair where places that we didn't really have it in the beginning. But we start to question really what's going on, and our nurturing aspect kicks in. And I feel a lot of people, that's where the mothering instinct comes about, because some people, unfortunately, can give birth during those ages. It's not, for me, it's not something that I advocate for, but it is something that can happen, and the body awakens to be able to do that for us. The solar plexus chakra is about 14 to 21. That's our confidence and creative center. That is where, you turn into that surly teenager that thinks they know everything. You can't tell them what to do. I know it all. We have so much confidence and so-called clarity, and we step into this power center that's a bit imbalanced for us for most part, where you can't tell us what to do because we know everything. We've all been there. We've all experienced it. And if you are a parent of a teenager through that 14 to 21 age, be aware this chakra is in control of their life at the moment. That is why you need to nurture their confidence and build them up and give them strong boundaries and show them what power is all about, and educate and teach them how to nurture that self-confidence, self-love, and understanding and acceptance of self. It's really a powerful time to do this. Our heart chakra activates next around 21 to 28. And this is where you find a lot of people end up getting married because they fall in love for the first time. And when you're living in your heart chakra, you have so much forgiveness energy in there because the heart is a beautiful, compassionate, forgiving space where we can accept so many more things because we love someone, and we tolerate so much more because that love energy tells us that that's okay for it to happen. It's not always okay. But we put up with so much more than we realize based on, if I love them enough, they will fix it. Or if I love them enough, that they will change. And if I give them enough love, they will treat me better or do things for me. A lot of relationships with women in this age, they start to find themselves being dominated or attracting the wrong type of relationships because they don't have the full love of self, that they're willing to sacrifice their own self-love and self-awareness because they don't have the power of their voice to say no to things that aren't quite right for them. The throat chakra kicks into gear around 28 to 35, and this is where we start to say no, where we find boundaries, where we stop being a people pleaser, where we start to wake up and go, you know what, that's not for me. That's not what I want to do. That's not who I am. This is what my values are. These are my beliefs. This is who I choose to be. It's a greater part of our identity where we find our voice and are able to stand up for ourselves. Yes, you get parts of it back in the solar plexus. We do start to stop bullies and say no to certain things, but not with the full confidence that you actually do when you step into your throat chakra. Between 35 and 42, our third eye opens and our intuition kicks in. And this is where we start to notice things and we see perspective on a greater level. We can see what our actions are doing to other people. We can see how other people are triggering us more and what their actions and reactions are doing to us. This is where we find boundaries in self, and we want to put a stop to things that are no longer aligned with what we be or what we want to see in the world. This is where we want to change the world around us because we want to see things better. We don't hide from things that are right in front of our face. We don't shut our eyes to things and make excuses for them anymore because our throat is in gear and our sight is showing us clearly what's going on. And then from 42 to 49, the crown chakra kicks in, and that true wisdom, the greater knowledge and everything like that. This is where we finally do know so much about the world. All the lessons that we've been through come with great clarity to give us the strength and the power to choose what we're doing moving forward. Now, the reason for this episode is a lot of people get to those ages anywhere between, say, 25 and 50, and sometimes they can think that they're going through an existential crisis when they're just awakening, depending on what activation is happening right in front of them. As I said, some of the chakras can shift throughout those ages, but they do define our life in many ways as how we react, how we show up, and how we utilize those chakras to their full potential. So if you are in your 30s and you're starting to see things and you're starting to say no and your boundaries are coming into place, congratulations. That's exactly what's meant to be happening. But you will find that you may be in a job that you don't like anymore and you don't want to stay there. This is around the time where a lot of people turn around and go, oh my God, I want to run away from home. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't the career that I would have chosen. This wasn't what I dreamed about in the backyard as a child. This isn't who I wanted to be back then. This is something that I had to choose a plan B because someone said to me that I couldn't do what I wanted. But when you step into your voice and you find the power of that voice, the old dreams start to come back, especially when we're moving into the third eye. The memories, the innovation, the inspiration, and the imagination are all reactivated powerfully within us. And we start to go, well, when I was little, I wanted to be, say, a vet, or I wanted to be this, or I wanted to be a doctor, or I wanted to be a teacher. Because for me, when I was little, I always said I wanted to be a teacher. And they would say to me, oh, you want to be a school teacher? And I couldn't think of anything worse. But that's not what I wanted to teach people about. I wanted to teach people about life and spirituality. And thankfully, I found my niche and my passion in that. So whatever it is you're saying that you want to be when you grow up, well, we're finally growing up, right? We all start to realize that we actually have more power than we realize. And we can go, you know what? That's not what I want to do. I might go back and study something that I was turned away from, steered away from by someone else, whether that's parents, society, partners, unexpected children, or chosen children. The way life evolved around you got you to exactly where you need to be. And it's through this phase that we do wake up and we go, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go and be let's just use nurse for an example. I want to go be a nurse. So I'm going to go back to university and study nursing so that I can go and help people in whatever way you want to do it. I want to be what I want to be, whether that's a nurse, a teacher, a rock star, a policeman, a fireman, an astronaut, a singer, whatever it is. Whatever passion you have inside of you, whatever dream is in the back of your mind that you want to be, now is the time for you to stand up, wake up, and chase after it. Because there's never any better time than right now. You are exactly where you're meant to be for your life path. And yes, new ideas come to you and different ways merge to you. And it is time for you to wake up and go, you know what? This is the pathway I'm going to take. Sometimes, unfortunately, that means you may be married to someone and you can see that relationship isn't what you really wanted because you got steered into it, or it just fell into place, or you weren't really aware of what was going on, or you've grown apart because your vision together isn't the same, and therefore you may choose to lose it, leave it, lose it, let it go, end it, whatever you want to call it. But that relationship had a purpose. And the reason you may want to leave it or let it go is simply because that cycle completed. Everything in life is different cycles, and the chakras in themselves are cycles. That's why we have the 7-year process of the awakening of them. You get to choose what you want to do based on what is right for you. It is in your heart center. It's in your third eye, in your intuition. It's in your imagination what you really want to be. And whether that means leaving behind, running away to the circus, or just letting go, it is okay to do that. Society thinks that we're trained as children, right? You go to school, you go get an education, and you have to get an education between 5 and 18. And then if you're smart enough, you go into college to get a degree to go and work in a career that you're supposed to want to love, or something that you're meant to do, or ultimately that can support a family. And then you get married and you create a family, and you get taught that you get married and it's forever. And once you marry this person, it's till death do you part. So you can't end it until somebody dies. But it's not actually true. Okay, relationships can come and go. They have cycles. They have lessons of you to come to merge together, and you create that beautiful lesson of what it needs to be. And then sometimes they can come to an end. Not all of them. Many people stay married to the one person all their life. That may be their soul contract. That may be the decision they made together before they came to do that, and that's okay. But some people come together simply because the only way the children that they have could come through those two parents. That was the parents they chose. That was the life they wanted to learn through the soul interaction of what we're having here in life. Now, it's up to you when you awaken at different stages, whether you are happy or not with the life that you have and that you're living right now. But one of the things I can absolutely tell you about the awakening process is if you are unhappy, you cannot awaken and stay in unhappiness. It will eat at you, and you'll always have dreams or desires of having better, creating better. You come to realize you are the creator of your life. You are the voice that gets to decide what you want to do. You get to choose where you live, who you live with, what you do, what's the work you do, how you show up in the world. These are all choices that you get to make. Is it easy? No, it's not. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things and go a little bit backwards in order to go forwards, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to break down and let go of everything or lose everything in order to break through and rise and go even further, and that's okay. Sometimes massive, amazing traumas happen to you and really bad things happen. But these things are also somewhat planned in your life purpose and the mission that you chose when you came to Earth, in the contract that you wrote before you came here. And sometimes they alter and change. But everything that changes, everything that happens does have reason and purpose behind it. And you will step into where you're meant to be through that creatorship of your own life with the choices that you make from then. A lot of people go through this awakening process through deep grief, whether that's loss of a partner, a mother, a father, a child, a sibling, a cousin, whatever it may be. But grief is one of the biggest awakeners out there, and you may have heard a previous episode about it. But in this is all about you coming to understand that the change of perspective that you have, the way you see the world, as you grow and evolve within self will alter. It may be subtle over time, little things that niggle at you in the background, and you start thinking differently, you start acting differently, and you start showing up with better behavior. Or they may be groundbreaking, tragic circumstances that strip you back to nothing, that bring you back to the full reality and the desire and understanding of there has to be something more than this. There's got to be a reason for it all, right? We aren't here to suffer. We're not here to go through hardship and to put up with things that we don't want to. We're here to learn, grow, and evolve. And that is the soul's only purpose, to have interactions with other souls, create harmony and peace and love on this earth, and however that shows up for them. And it's up to you to choose how it shows up for you, because you're the only one that can. So whether someone's out there telling you that you're spiraling because all of a sudden you want to buy a flashy car, or you want to change your whole life, or you go and lose a whole lot of weight and become a new person, or you ever change your hairstyle, the clothes, or whatever it is, whatever change that you make, a lot of societies don't judge you on it. And oh my God, they must be going through something's wrong with them, or there's a problem that's not going on. But what's really happening is you are coming to understand that you are the most important person in your world, in your existence. And if you don't take care of you, nobody else can do it for you. So do the things that you love, do the things that bring you joy, do the things that light you up, and become the best version of you that you know how to be. Because that's what we're all about, right? This can open up and bring about things of what the experts like to call soul fatigue. When you are doing something so against your soul, so against what you're meant to be doing, you become run down, you run into burnout, you create disease or other health conditions and problems and crises within your life for you to wake up and change the way things are. Never let it get to that. When you start to think that this isn't the way life is meant to be for me, sit down and ask yourself, well, what is it meant to be instead? If you could have the most perfect life, if your world was magical and money wasn't a problem and where you lived wasn't a problem, what would you want? Do you ever ask yourself if you could wave a magic wand and change anything in your world? In your world, not the whole world, your world. What would you change? What would you alter? What would you be? How would you show up every day? These things matter, but we never really ask these things for ourselves. I know when I lost everything, and I know the hardship of not having anything, no support, no nothing. I've had to come back from homelessness, from great loss. I lost my business. I had nothing. I had to start afresh. And I sat there and asked, well, why am I here? What is the purpose of it all? Because if life is only meant for suffering, then I'm not party to it. And this is unfortunately where a lot of people do choose to opt out of life. And I don't ever want you have to get to that stage, because you do have choices. You do have the ability to alter your life, to step into your voice, to stand up in your power, to choose who you want to be, how you want to show up. You have the choice to stop asking other people to make decisions for you, to find your voice. Do you want to do it or don't you want to do it? Is it for your highest good or is it not for your highest good? Does this make you happy? And if it doesn't, don't do it. Don't ever settle for something and do something because you feel pressured by somebody else, or be someone that you're not meant to be because it doesn't fit into society's plan of how they think you're meant to be. Nobody gets to decide who you are. Nobody gets to say that this is the only role you can play. You get to do that. And it's up to you whether you go and change your world, or whether you're going to be too timid, too scared, allow fear, doubt, and all the problems or fear of failure or worries to stop you from going and becoming all you can be. Because I know if you resist these changes that come to you, the thoughts and the visions and even the words that come out of your mouth, if you resist the change that your soul wants, that fatigue becomes real and that fatigue becomes disease. And unfortunately, souls do decide that if the human version of this soul isn't doing what the soul's mission wants to do, to complete, to accomplish on the earth, they decide to opt out. And you don't need to die before you have to decide to come back again and start afresh. Because the soul will regenerate, it will reincarnate into someone else and choose to go through these lessons and do the things that your soul contract is all about another time if you don't do it now. So pay attention to what you're saying. Pay attention to the things that you don't like. Pay attention to the things that you agree with or disagree with. Stand up for yourself. Say no. Put a stop to things that you find inhospitable in your life. Things that you don't like. If you see things that are done wrong, have a voice. Speak about it. Whether you speak about it publicly or privately, but don't stand by and lose your voice. Because if you don't actually step into the power of your voice and speak your truth and say what you need to say, you will create voice problems, and nobody ever wants to have it to the phase where they can't actually speak, where you can't express who you really are, where you're too afraid to speak up for fear of recrimination of what other people think, what other people say, or what their opinion about it is. Quite frankly, in life, whose opinion matters the most? Yours does. The throat chakra is all about communication, authenticity, and setting boundaries. Many women, when they wake up around that 28 to 35, they start saying no to people pleasing, putting in boundaries. They lose friends over it. They lose family members. They lose relationships because they stop being a doormat. But that's evolution. That is what we're meant to be. Boundaries should never be a problem in relationships anyway, because other people should respect them. Their inability to accept your boundaries is on them, not you. Your only job is to enforce them. If it doesn't work for you, don't let it happen. Okay? You will find a lot of people feel threatened when you start saying no, when you start standing up for yourself and you start choosing to put your needs first, when you start outshining them. Many people come into that voice at that stage and they've been surrounded by that teenager that stood up confidently, knew everything, and become everything they wanted to be because they had a louder voice. But when you stand up in your own voice, you can challenge them. And they usually haven't found their true voice because they're just playing a part that they think they have to play in order to get the accolades that they desire. It's not actual truth, because that truth and communication doesn't fully come until you are in that 28 to 35-year-old range. When you do find your voice, there are many times where it may spark arguments with other people. And it's usually because they aren't getting the perspective that you're putting across, or they're speaking in a tone or not hearing the full value of what you're communicating to them. This is where lots of miscommunication happens. If you go and watch it, and I do networking and I go and interact with lots of women. A lot of my clients are women, and I watch the interactions between them, and I can tell you exactly what age people are based on their communication and how other people are taking it and where they're sitting within their chakra. Because unfortunately, even though you step into your voice and into your throat and communication, you don't actually learn true diplomacy until towards the end. You just become very opinionated and people don't like it. And that's okay, because your opinion is not everybody else's. And it's as you step into that crown chakra, the true knowledge of how to express your opinion and really share the knowledge and wisdom that you have, that greater clarity comes even still. So if you are struggling with communication, people not listening to you, not being able to say no, or having strong boundaries, there are ways that you can activate your throat chakra. Chanting, there is a tone for the throat chakra, it's ham. So ham, this long elongated sound that comes through the throat chakra. Or you can just simply practice saying no to things that are important to you. If you don't want to cook dinner, say no. Organize something else. If you don't want to go out with those people, say no. Or organize something else. I'm very strong in my boundaries, and I know there's a lot of people around me that try and push my boundaries and go, come on, let's go and try and bully or encourage you to go and do things you don't want to do, I would normally say, if you invite me to something and I don't want to do it, I just go no. And then go, oh, come on, but you have to go. In order to appease them and shut them up, I just go, oh yeah, I'll try, with never intention of ever going. When I say no, it's for a reason. I either don't want to be there, I don't like the people that are going to be there. It's not in the right environment for me. I have something else scheduled in that's more important, or I just don't feel like it. I read energy long before I go and agree to go into any situations anywhere. And if I don't like the energy of it, then I won't participate. That's my choice. That is my voice. That is the way I choose me. You get to choose you, how you need to do it. You can also journal your thoughts out, writing down clear ways of thinking and having comebacks and understanding of, if this happens again, this is what I need to say, will help you with that. Not everyone can think on the go. Not everyone has that witty comeback. The true wit, the smart aleck comments and comebacks, they're all from the confidence center in the solar plexus, because so many people will say things and then have regret later. You find a lot of people, when they step into their throat chakra, think before they speak. They pause, they consider what they're going to say, and they're very articulate about how the words are put together. Communication becomes very key. They're very congruent with their words. They're authentic in what they say and how they show up, and it matters. The same with the third eye. When we move into that third eye, we start to see things differently. I know many women that have come to me in that age range, that 35 to 42, and they've been with partners that are quite narcissistic and manipulative and gaslighting and all of this, and they never seen it because it wasn't in their realm of existence. They just considered it, they're quite normal, the way that the world was for them. So don't ever judge that woman that you see in a relationship, or that man in a relationship that isn't quite right, because they may not be up to their third eye age range where they can see different things playing about. We like to judge people very quickly without understanding and looking at perspective. When you step into your third eye, you start to look back and go, hang on a minute, how is that interplaying there? What is the soul's role between that? Who started that argument, or what is the comeback? You don't take things at face value. You want to see all sides of it. One of my favorite sayings is, there are three sides to the story: yours, mine, and the truth. Because the truth is both together. Not just your version manipulated by your traumas, your thoughts, your growing up or processes. Not their version based on what they think or what they say or how it affected them, but the interplay between all the parties. Because it really matters. When you step into your third eye, you start losing doubt and confusion. You come away with less overthinking. You'll know you get to that age later in life, around 40s, and you start going, you know what? I don't care what anyone else thinks. I'm going to wear what I wear. I'm going to eat what I eat. I'm going to live for myself. I'm going to be what I want. I'm just going to be me, and you can either take it or leave it. Go and ask a 40-year-old woman, does she care about anyone's opinion anymore? 90% of the time, the answer is going to be hell no. No way. They know who they are. They know what they want, and they're awakened enough to understand that they're not for everybody. And sometimes it's like that. We all want to be friends with everybody. We all want to be accepted in every situation. But life isn't like that. Some souls are here to challenge us, to be the chaos to our calm, to awaken us, to find greater clarity, peace, and evolution in ourselves. Today was very chaotic for me. I had things go wrong with the internet. I started this recording and somebody rang me in the middle of it because for once I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And I could take that as, oh my God, the world's falling apart and it's all this is happening to me. Or I can just pause, breathe, and start again, which is what I chose to do. These are things that you get to later in life and with greater understanding of how it all works for you. When you step into this third eye range, and especially when you start looking at the greater world around us, this is where a lot of people see beyond the veil, beyond the media lies that are out there, beyond the false stories, beyond just what's presented to us to keep us in line. We start questioning beliefs and systems and governments. We start looking for ways that serve us, not serve other people. It's also where old dreams start to surface. As I said, those dreams of what I wanted to do when I was younger rise up. Old dreams of I want to travel here, or I want to explore that, I want to be this, I want to become that, all start to rise back up in our imagination and our thinking. Okay, you don't have to be sensible in this world. If you want to give it all up, go and live in a commune, more power to you. Plenty of people do it. But sometimes you may just not like the work that you're in and decide that you want it to be. So for an example, if you said that you wanted to be a vet as a kid and you got talked out of it because going to vet school is actually harder than going to be a doctor. It's so much work, and a lot of people get told that they're not smart enough to do it. But being a vet isn't necessarily the true essence of what they wanted to be. That was just the job or the role that said, well, if I'm a vet, I get to work with animals. There are many different ways you can work with animals. So if that's what the passion was, to work with animals and communicate with them, or be with them, or heal them, or take care of them, you could go and look at working in a shelter, working at an RSPCA, being a dog groomer, being a pet sitter, there are many different ways that we can work with animals. You could go work at the zoo or at a farm. There are plenty of avenues. You could just happen to have 50 cats. That's what they call us spinsters, that we're just going to get a couple of cats here and there, or have a farm or a menagerie of all the animals around you. Okay? It doesn't have to show up in the traditional aspect of what we think it is. It has to be expanded outside the circle of when we need to look at what we want to do and the vision comes up of, like, as I said, I wanted to be a teacher. And they all said, oh, so you want to be a school teacher? I could not think of anything worse in my entire life when I was like 10. When I said it, I'm going, no thanks. The education system sucks. But I wanted to teach people. And I do in my own way. I teach psychic development. I teach coaching. I teach spiritual awakening. I teach mindset. I teach manifestation. I teach angels. I teach creativity. I teach all sorts of things all of the time. But it wasn't what I thought it was at the beginning. So you need to drill down and say, well, what sort of teaching do I want to do? What subject or topics do I want to do? How do I want to show up as that teacher? Do I want to be a strict teacher that says this is the only way to do it and you have to follow my way or the highway? I'm not that person, right? I'm not God. I don't know everything. I teach you the methods, the ways, the tools that I practice, I learn, I study, I do, and then I see them work in other people. So I test and measure every single thing that I teach you. That's why I love coaching. I did it all. I did it for self, received it, did it, practice it. I have clients that I've done practice sessions on, and I mastered the art and craft of it. Same with my psychic development classes. I teach you the tools of different things that I've practiced in self. Even when I go and research, because I read books and I go and research other things, and ChatGPT is amazing these days for insights and things like that, I still go test them to make sure that they work first. Okay, I teach one way that works for many, but it doesn't work for everybody. And if you need to go and learn it from somebody else that teaches it in a different way, or pulls energy from different forces, or sees the world from a different perspective, that's okay. I even tell my students that I do not want to be the only teacher. I'm not a guru, I'm not a master, and I do not believe I'm the only person that can lead you in the direction that you need to go. I can help you with the parts that I can help you with, and I'm very good at what I do, and I acknowledge that and accept that. But I'm not perfect in every single way that I have the answers to everything. I will refer you to better teachers for different aspects if that's what you want to learn, because that's what life's all about, right? Making sure that the student finds the right teacher for them, finds the right leader for them. And sometimes the right leader is the person telling you to go and work with someone else who knows that that energy will get better results for you. When we look at relationships through our third eye, we become consciously aware of whether we need to couple and stay in our relationships, or uncouple and go and find things that are better for us. Not all relationships are meant to last. They do have to change and evolve together, and you do have to come together and work on what are the combined goals. Because for the most part, when people get married, their main combined goals are we want to have children together, build a family, buy a house, do this, have a job, and retire at some time. What are your passions? How do you want to show up? What is it? Is it something that you both have the same vision for, or are you just staying together for the children? Because that's what you've been told and programmed that you need to do. Things change, they evolve, and that's okay. You can move on from that. If you have a happy, loving, healthy relationship and you both have a mission and you are creating greatness in this world together, fantastic. More power to you all. And there needs to be more relationships like that. But if all you're doing is bickering and arguing and you don't have the same beliefs and you don't have the same awarenesses and one believes in this value or has this importance in their life and another has something totally different, that energy is non-conducive to health. And it's non-conducive to prosperity, life, abundance, and all the good things. Many people don't teach you to go and look at what are your beliefs in life and what are the things that you value the most. And as you grow and evolve, your values do change. There is a wheel of 6 to 8 values in life, and we can only really concentrate on 3 at any given time. And if they're out of whack, you're going to have so much distance between you and your relationship that you really can't pull it back together. But when you start standing in your beliefs and you realize that your beliefs have evolved and you have changed and what you once thought was okay and is no longer okay, you cannot stay in it, especially if you are an empath. You will physically be unable to stay where you're unwanted, not being happy, healthy, and thriving. You will have to find what is going to bring you that joy, that perspective. And sometimes that means ending and completing a cycle in order to move through something. And this is where the word crisis comes in, or the midlife crisis, or they don't know what they're doing. They're just off on some fantasy, or this is going on. But it's not. It's an awakening to the true power within, the reconnection to your soul, your voice, and your intuition, and the guidance system of your soul that becomes so loud over everything else that it has to be heard. These are times where it's your soul saying to you, hey, this is the time where I have to step up, level up, and become who I'm really meant to be, and stop leaving behind the broken, bitter, and disempowered person that you have been. Growth is highly uncomfortable. It's shit. Okay, it's horrible. No one likes going through it. But really, once you shed it all and you let go, the lightness that you feel when you rise back up again into what you're really meant to be, this breakdown actually becomes the breakthrough. It becomes the enlightenment. It becomes the answer to everything in your life. And you deserve that. It becomes a time where you find all the wonderful things about you that deserve true love, true happiness, peace. You can't live in enmity and arguments and crap energy forever. It's just unhealthy. Arguments aren't proof of failure. They're actually proof that you're finding your voice. Disagreements are debates on perspective, right? Never get to the stage where you want to force your perspective on someone else. If they're not in alignment with you, everyone's entitled to their own perspective. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions and their own belief system. But if they can't evolve and grow with yours, and that the opposites of it are so far apart that you can't bring it together, it cannot stay. And this, as I said, friendships, family, partnerships, relationships, children, parents, all of that come into effect with this when we look at where our voice stands on what our beliefs are and how we live our life. So if you were brought up in a household, on the weekend we spent some powerful time, wonderful time with this family, and the wife was telling us her husband, when she married her, the mother-in-law used to say that you got to do all the washing, you got to do this, and she taught her husband to clear the dishes and do some kitchen work, and she's like, no, you can't do that. And she goes, well, I work hard out of the house, I slave away, and I do my fair share. He has to do his fair share. And he came along with her beliefs. The mother-in-law wasn't quite aligned with it. Now, these are old-fashioned values, and there's nothing wrong with them for the time that they were. But it's not always the way that it stays, right? she had evolved and she worked damn hard out of the home. So getting help in the home was never a problem. She just decided that no, she wasn't this type of woman that go and worked 40, 50 hours a week, slaved away at a job that was hard, heavy lifting to come home so he could sit with his pipe and slippers and go and get him coffee and do everything for him while he did nothing. That's not the way that it needs to be. This is where you have to negotiate, communicate, and express your desires. And your desires are different depending on who you are. But you do get to that stage early on in marriage. If you look at any marriage, in the beginning, the wife does everything. They just want to do everything. Then the kids come along. Then they start getting tired. And then if you have to go and work as well, you can't do everything. It has to be a partnership. And if one partner doesn't want to step up and help, then we're going to have big problems. And it's not just the wife that does this. The husbands can be that way. One of my favorite memes on social media is a guy that goes out and he works really hard for his life, and he comes home and his wife's sitting on the couch and their house is a pigsty. And the meme is along the lines of, if you go out working hard every day and you're rich, and should you have to come home to this? Now, there are things that you have to take for granted of the way that it's expressed in the meme, that she's a stay-at-home person and doesn't do anything else and she's still not cleaning up after herself. Whether that's the case or not, it doesn't matter. But in it, like, should you have to come home to this? There's two ways you can take it. Is she pulling her fair weight, or is he? Okay, if this is the way that it is, without the negotiation and communication, how can you ever know? But yeah, if you are working hard, the other partner who either is doing lesser or not enough should contribute and do their fair share too. It's all about equality, and however that equality shows up. The third eye also shows you lots of new possibilities, and the throat chakra gives you the courage to claim them. They work tandemly together, and it is through that 14-year period that lots of changes happen, that true awakening happens, and things alter. Like, as I said, early in marriage, the wife will do lots of things and be there for it all. And then later on, she gets a husband and tell him, no, you have to do this. And it's your turn to do the meals and your turn to take care of the kids. The about switch and the big flip causes a lot of communication problems. So if you're young and you are starting out getting married, set your boundaries and beliefs and create the cohabitation early on, so that when you do get to that 30 or 40 mark, you don't have a tantrum because they never show up and do anything. How can they if they don't know? But it can be really hard when you're not in your voice and you don't know how to stand up for yourselves, and you do go along with things because that's the way it's always been done. It doesn't always make it right. These are years through your 30s and 40s where you start to reclaim your truth, you activate your vision, and you start truly living unapologetically. You show up exactly as you are, no holds barred. You become real. You become not this carbon copy of what a Stepford wife used to be. You become who you really are. And it's up to you how you alter, grow, and adjust with that. So ask yourself, do some inner reflection and sit back and say, where in your life have you been mistaken awakening for a crisis? Has there been any area where you've gone, oh my God, that's just a crisis, and I was having a meltdown and I was in burnout and I didn't like this, and mistaken it for actual awakening to the greater consciousness and collective energies out there? And how can you shift this energy and see it as an form of empowerment and of grace and love and kindness and confidence, and step into this version of you that wants to break through that cocoon? But we are very much like that butterfly, that caterpillar. That caterpillar goes along in life and does what it needs to do and gets to a stage where it can grow. And then we go into the cocoon and we do come out the other side. And it's through our voice and our vision that we really do make that big change. Nobody ever has it together when they're young. Most of us find it in that 30 to 40 range. For young people, becoming 30 is a whole different personality ballgame, because we really do have great definition of who we are. It's up to you to ask, is your voice working for you or working against you? You are the only one that can decide. Are you seeing the world exactly as it is in all its power, with everything that's right in front of you, or are you still stuck in tunnel vision? These are questions that you need to ask for yourself, that you need to decide for you. because you're worthy of it. You deserve it and you're ready. If you feel this episode has resonated with you, please send me some feedback. I'd love to hear where you are in your journey, or what parts of your chakras are activated and what areas you're living out of. I'd love to hear, how much have you found your voice? Do you have the ability to say no, or are you still living as the people pleaser? If you know anyone who needs to hear about it, please share it, like, comment, and I really do value feedback. So please reach out and get in touch. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to hear about from the podcast. And just even let me know if you enjoy it. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Spiritual Awakening with Shaz podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss an episode. You can also follow us on Facebook with the links below. Until next time, trust your intuition and let your spirit soar.